I'm going to say this very clearly. RTVs are probably one of the hardest design problems in today's homes. Not kitchens, not bathrooms, not even the common lack of storage space. The TV. Yes, you heard me right, your TV screen. If your living room has never felt quite right, if you keep rearranging furniture but nothing ever settles, this is almost certainly why. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll realize the problem isn't the furniture, it's the way the room was designed. Hi everyone, I'm Lorenzo, the Italian architect based in London and founder of Centioni Architects. On this channel, I talk about how homes actually work in real life, not just how they look in photos. Today, I want to explain why one everyday object has quietly made modern living rooms incredibly difficult to design, and what we architects are starting to do about it. Why the TV breaks the room. Here's the fundamental issue. A room can only have one true focal point. But modern living rooms are forced to host a TV, a fireplace, often a large window, and sometimes even an open kitchen. Clearly, that's not one focal point. That's a proper visual conflict. The TV makes this worse because it's large, black if it's not on, visually dominant, and demands direct attention. So everything else in the room starts competing with it. Furniture twists. Sofas float, circulation breaks down, and the room never feels resolved, right? Why does nothing ever feel right? This is why people keep moving furniture, not because they enjoy it. I don't know, unless you do, but I personally don't like to move around things in my house, and not because they're indecisive, but because subconsciously they're trying to fix something the room itself never resolved. I'm talking about bad sightlines, awkward viewing angles, and above all, competing priorities. Probably you're looking at this video from your TV screen, which I bet sits right in front of your sofa. The fireplace wants to be at the center of attention, and the windows want the light to lead the space. And what happens is that the room forces all of them to fight. So every layout becomes a compromise, every arrangement feels almost right, but never settled. The room is asking them to negotiate constantly. And you know what, living inside the negotiation is pretty much exhausting. Why open plan makes this harder? Open plan living didn't create this problem for sure, but certainly it made it worse. Without walls, there's nowhere obvious for the TV to live. There's no acoustic containment, no visual boundary, no hierarchy telling the room what matters most. So the TV ends up in a compromised position. Probably it's too high, or too far away, or dominating everything in the space. None of those are accidents. In my opinion, they're symptoms. Open plan was never designed around large screens. It was designed around movement, sightlines, and flow. The key issue here is that a TV demands stillness. These two items, open plan and TV, don't naturally agree. And unless the room is deliberately structured to reconcile them, the space will always feel unresolved, no matter how many times you arrange the furniture. Solution number one, give the TV architecture. If your TV must stay in the living room, then why not giving it architecture? What I mean by architecture, I mean a proper design structure. Not a piece of furniture I'm talking about, not a temporary cabinet. You might consider proper built-in joinery. This will be paramount in defining the TV's position, controlling its scale and aligning it with seating geometry. It will also absorb clutter and cables. But this obviously only works if it's done intentionally. Bad joinery can hide the TV, but it's properly designed joinery that resolves the room. Solution number two, take the TV out of the living room. Here's the solution that architects and interior designers are returning to. Remove the TV from the living room altogether. Not get rid of it, obviously, but put it where it actually works. This could be an enclosed room or even a dedicated media nook. When the TV moves into a dedicated darker space, something shifts. The screen performs better, right? The sound stops leaking into the rest of the home, and watching becomes intentional, not something the room is constantly negotiating around. And once the TV leaves the room, the space starts to relax. Furniture no longer has to face one direction. Conversation becomes natural again. The room stops performing and starts supporting how people actually live. This isn't anti-TV, it's pro-comfort. Stop letting the TV define the axis. This is the solution that most people never consider. The problem isn't just where the TV is. It's what the room is aligned to. Most living rooms are subconsciously designed around this. Sofa that faces a TV, chairs orbiting the TV, and circulation that bends around the TV. The TV screen becomes the primary axis of the living room. And that's the real mistake. Instead, I suggest you to design your room's axis around human relationships first. That means seating aligned to conversation and not the screen. A primary axis based on movement and daylight. And the TV positioned off axis, not front and center. In other words, the TV is still allowed in the room, but it's definitely not in charge. This can look like a TV on a side wall, visible but not dominant. A pivoting or sliding panel that reveals it only when needed. A layout where the best seat isn't the best viewing seat. When you do this, the circulation of your home becomes obvious. And hopefully, your space will start to feel calmer and more intentional. That's because the room is no longer organized around one single object. It's organized around people. The bigger design takeaway. This was never really about the TV. It's about what happens to us when we ask one room to do multiple jobs. We want it to host friends, help us unwind, and entertain guests. And slowly, without even realizing it, the room stops supporting it really. Good homes don't force everything into one space. They separate functions gently, without walls shouting, without layouts feeling rigid. Because when every activity competes in one room, the house doesn't just feel broken, it starts working against you. So I'm curious, where have you placed your TV screen? Tell me in the comments. If you know someone who's constantly rearranging furniture, share this video with them. And if you want to go deeper, I've made an entire playlist of mistakes in your home, which I constantly update by the way, so stay tuned for more. If this video was helpful, hit like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Until the next one, ciao.